Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Area Podcast. My name is Alessandro Bertucci, broker record for Area Realty Inc., located at 650 College Street, second floor. On this week's episode of the Neighborhood Spotlight, we will be featuring Young-st.clair, known as CO2. I'm your co-host, and this is my colleague / co-host,
Owen Fawcett. I'm a salesperson here at Area Realty Inc.
So Owen's going to be talking about the parameters of Young-st.clair. Mm-hmm. He's going to be talking about the history, the architecture of Young-st.clair, the demographics, the culture. We're going to have some updates on market statistics and some new business that we're doing in the neighborhood, which is pretty fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to note that we have a special guest at this week's episode.
I was going to say, there's a third microphone here.
The third microphone. Can't wait to introduce you. Some people call him the king of paper, a.k.a. Michael Scott. Anthony Sarno from ASCA Office Solutions will be joining us this afternoon on this beautiful sunny day in Toronto. And we look forward to meeting with our guest if he ever arrives on time.
He'll get here. But otherwise, how are you feeling? Good?
Feeling good. I'm really excited to be back. It's been a busy couple weeks for us.
Mm-hmm. Market's picking up in a big way. It's been stale for probably a good year, but it's really starting to move, right?
Yeah, consumer confidence is back, I think. Interest rates are holding 5%. Banks are lending money again. So I think we're pretty excited what's going to happen this next 2-3 months. We've got a few listings coming up, a few exclusive listings coming up. We have some hitting the market. Can't wait till we have the time
to talk about it.
Yeah. So go ahead, Owen.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood. I'm enjoying a coffee from the Golden Wheat Bakery downstairs. Great little Portuguese bakery. They have cheap coffee, great desserts, great bread. Just below our office. Great little amenity downstairs.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, we're going to get right into it. So we're featuring Young-st.clair, which is one of the neighborhoods or communities in the CO2 region of Toronto, according to the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. So Young-st.clair is defined by TREB as its southern point is the rail line by Summerhill Station. You might recognize that train station converted into an LCBO, one of the most beautiful LCBOs in Toronto. And the region goes all the way north to the Gardner Beltline Trail, and then we got Yonge Street on the east and Avenue to the west. So it's kind of a long rectangle. Now, people call it Young-st.clair. There's a couple sort of regions that are colloquially part of that area. You've got Deer Park, and then part of Summerhill happens to fall in that area as well. So Deer Park is included within the City of Toronto's official Rosedale, Moore Park, and Young-st.clair areas. So it actually technically continues all the way to Mount Pleasant, but a lot of it falls in the Young-st.clair region. And if we're going to talk about the history of the area, kind of have to talk about Deer Park. And that name dates back to 1837 when the land was purchased by the Heath family on the northwest corner of Young-st.clair, giant 40 acres. By the 1850s, there was a racetrack, a school, a hotel, and all of that property by 1874 was completely subdivided and sold off into the lots that pretty much make up what it is today. Deer Park was annexed into Toronto in 1908. And by the 1930s, become an upper middle class residential district, and today it remains so.
Very bougie.
Very bougie. We'll get into the demographics later, but it's definitely if you're looking to live in Deer Park, get ready to spend some money.
That's for sure.
Young-st.clair area. So great little area. Dates back, to the formation of Toronto itself. There's a couple other sort of historic landmarks in the area that we'll talk about. But you've got Upper Canada College, De La Salle College, both over almost 200 years old. But because the area is so old, the architecture is old. So you get a lot of detached homes, Victorian influence, big detached 3-story mansions. The lots tend to be larger. The home values tend to be larger. You got a lot of heritage homes in the area because you got sort of that influence of like the Rosedale area, Summerhill area. You've got the Consulate General of the Republic of Korea is in an old mansion. You have Farnham Lodge, which is one of the oldest surviving buildings in Toronto. That's on 50 Farnham Avenue, just south of St. Clair. But nowadays, the St. Clair stretch and Yonge is undergoing a lot of development. So historically, a lot of old houses, but nowadays you've got a commercial center right at Yonge and St. Clair, and then you've got some condos popping up as well. There's massive development of the area. It's sort of like the midtown. It's not quite midtown like Yonge and Eglinton, but Yonge and St. Clair has its own sort of commercial heart to
Well, I
it.
think a lot of people do refer to Yonge and St. Clair, or they refer to Midtown as Yonge and St. Clair or Yonge and Eglinton, either or.
It's that whole stretch all the way up Davisville.
Interchangeable. So at the actual intersection of Yonge and St. Clair, you've got some pretty great amenities around there. You know, you've got your commercial businesses, as you mentioned. You've got your Good Life Fitness. You've got your grocers. You've got your restaurants.
The Weston Center.
The Weston Center. It's pretty spectacular. You've got some new restaurants that have opened up. And I think along the Yonge Street line, maybe we'll touch upon this a little bit later, is what you discuss is a lot of development going on. I've noticed that there are a lot of proposals at Yonge and St. Clair from Summerhill North, actually, near Woodlawn, where the developers are trying to achieve 50, 60, 70 stories in height, and the city's granting them that additional density due to, you know, the shortage of housing. So I think we're going to talk more about this as we get into, you know, looking for a condo in that neighborhood, what's going on and why people want to live there. So I think our guest has arrived, but it's okay. We
Sounds
can,
like our guest is here. We'll put a pause for now.
no, we can continue on, and
Yeah.
we'll get him in
Well,
shortly.
have a seat.
Hello. There's going to be a buffet or something.
Welcome.
The
What's
buffet's
going on
behind
here?
the camera.
We're just
I feel
finishing
like I'm
up.
on live on sports on here.
Always a pleasure, Anthony.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Anthony.
How are you?
Good.
So
good.
Anthony's our guest.
Morning.
We're just finishing up our segment on Yonge and St. Clair, and typically what we go through is, you know, the history of the neighborhood, the architecture of the neighborhood, right? The demographics of the neighborhood, the parameters of the neighborhood from a real estate context to socially what it's known as, Midtown, Yonge and St. Clair, CO2. We're just going to touch upon the culture of Yonge and St. Clair, and we've talked about the development, all the buildings that's happening on Yonge Street, and the reason we want Anthony's our special guest is he actually owns a condominium in the neighborhood where we do some business at 111 St. Clair, and perhaps once we get through the culture, you could talk to us about your property over there in the building.
So I just want to rectify that area is known as Forest Hill. So we haven't alluded to the fact that this is probably one of the most prestigious areas in the city, if not the. So walking distance to Yonge Street is key. I think anyone that's looking to buy in the Yonge and St. Clair area, the amenities and most importantly transit, walking distance to Yorkville, you can't speak enough of that area. In my opinion, the whole entire portfolio of real estate that I own, I value the Yonge and St. Clair 111 specifically, and I think the biggest mistake was not buying more. I did have initially 2 units, but that's a different conversation.
Well, hindsight is 2020.
Well, I did have 2 units, and I did arrange them to have them for my family, but family intervened with family. And
So
I ended up with one.
let's talk about, if you don't mind, very quick. That building was built by Camross Felcorp, or redeveloped actually.
It's the old headquarters of Imperial Oil.
Imperial
right?
Oil, and they retrofitted that and turned it into luxury condominiums with.
In my opinion, that
The
is
most-
probably one of the best built condominiums in the city. Maintaining the structural of marble on the exterior and limestone. I think that Camross deserves the utmost respect and most importantly the highest reward for a condominium, and most importantly the interior renovations that they've done in that place is spectacular.
The finishes were-
the finishes that they provided, standard finishes, are not the norm that you would find in either condo.
I think they pioneered an upgraded standard finish. So
They set the benchmark.
They set the benchmark. I remember at that time, maybe 10, 15 years ago when they were building that building, typically you'd get a condo with laminate countertops. Well, they initiated, you know, the quartz countertops, the travertine floors that were historically there. Their appliances were all high end. Their floors weren't this 4mm vinyl. It was 12mm, you know, laminate. It was great stuff they've done over there. And one thing that you really love about that building per se is the south-facing views.
Southwest.
Southwest
Unobstructed views are by far the greatest views of any condominium that you will find in the city of Toronto. So to get this experience, there is a restaurant, Scaramouche, that you can attend to get that magnified view if you do not own a condo in the Young-st.clair area. So go to Scaramouche, have a great meal, because by far one of the best restaurants.
It's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
But listen, you're in Forest Hill. You pay for what you get for. Contact Area Realty and get yourself into a southwest property because it is glamorous to look at. Oh, you've been there. Like, I would personally live there. And I live in an area that I'm quite happy with, but
well, you've talked about retiring there potentially one day.
that would be my biggest concern right now, is trying to find a unit above or below so I can install an elevator to have a big enough square footage that I can't speak enough. I think the difference between this condominium in that area is that it is one of the only condominiums that has the LCBO and a supermarket facility in its
You don't have to go
proximity.
outside. You don't have to leave the building.
Well,
to
that
go
that
there.
particular, so this building's located right near Young and St. Clair, 111 St. Clair. They've got I think a 25,000 square foot amenity space on the mezzanine level, and
Imperial Club.
the
I think is what it's
Imperial
called.
Club. Pretty special building.
Yeah, it's an indoor swimming
Special.
pool.
Listen, kudos to the Feldman family and Camross for a job well done and setting the benchmarks where we didn't allude to the fact that the appliances are hidden underneath the cabinetry, which is now the standard of what?
Yeah, you see
They're
that
the ones that
everywhere
did this
now.
was in 2010. This was 2010 that they initiated this.
The built-ins.
And by far, in my opinion, that it has got to be the standard of condominiums. It's a must-see. It really is.
So just so you know, Owen and I just went under contract. We have other clients in that building as well, people that we've serviced for the last 10 years in constantly renting out the units. And finally, they decided to put their unit on the market. And timing in the market is everything. And we just listed a unit for sale at 111 St. Clair, unit 931. It's a beautiful 2-story loft, over 900 square feet. And within 2 days of having it on the market, that's how hot this building is. Within 2 days of putting it on the market, we got an offer on it. And we can't disclose the details of the offer because we're just awaiting
It's a conditional sale.
It's a conditional sale awaiting the lawyer's review of the status certificate, which I think you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if you're buying in a condominium, you should always have your lawyer review the status certificate. It'll let you know if there's, outstanding payments on the unit, if the building's reserve fund is healthy. You don't want, when you're buying into a condominium corporation, you're buying into the corporation, and you want to make sure it's a healthy corporation.
Yeah,
I've
you
said
want to
this
make
so many
sure
times.
that there's no
before you buy into it.
no
right?
pending litigation against the builder, or that there's no sort of capital improvements where the property management company or the board decides, hey, we need to spend $2 million replacing all the windows, therefore everyone's unit's going to have to pay an extra $20,000 in special assessment. So that's what kind of Owen's alluding to with respect to the...
It's a standard condition, and it makes sense to be there.
So the good thing is we got a call from the realtor today, and he told us that his lawyers reviewed it and everything looks good. So we're just waiting on the notice of fulfillment, and then that's another job well done by the boys. So if you ever want...
I think that the general public needs to understand the importance and specialty of services that Area Realty provides. I think this is not spoken enough of, more importantly, acknowledged. So I can't speak enough of, and we'll pretend he's not here, Owen Fawcett. We'll pretend that he's not here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here because I'm not being biased or for a reason. I'm explaining the facts that I buy in and lease with these two individuals with utmost confidence. And it is a turnkey operation, which means I sign the paperwork and I literally have no involvement other than the fact that I decide on who the partnership with the tenancy is going to be involved, and they take care of the rest. They inspect the units, they arrange key deposits, they arrange cleanliness of the units, they arrange the key exchange. I cannot express the gratitude of the convenience being and living in a hectic lifestyle, that if you have a real estate portfolio and you are leasing and you're managing these types of properties, there's no one better in the industry. There's a tremendous amount of great real estate people, and I have the utmost respect for them all. but the gratitude and most importantly, the extent of the level of service that the two individuals, both Mr. Bertucci and Mr. Fawcett, we'll go back to Mr. Fawcett, he's now appeared here, provide it's incredible. And
Those are really kind
Yeah,
words,
thank
and we
you.
truly do appreciate it. And we try and provide good service, and we know that you're busy. This is
Yeah, you have a full-time career on top of a very busy real
so
estate.
we kind of gave you a little bit of an introduction before you got here. You
Okay.
were supposed to be our special guest, but this is Anthony Sarno. He's the president and CEO of ASCA Office Solutions. And ASCA Office Solutions, maybe I'll let you take it from here. What do you guys do? What do you sell?
I was hoping you'd expand on this. I was
Oh,
really looking forward to
so
this.
we're print, IT services, paper, copiers, stationery, anything to do with your office leasing needs. We're now getting into the cloud-based servicing, and I'm speaking we as if
Yes,
I'm
ladies
not-
and gentlemen, no script here or pre-introduction. So, Mr. Bertucci, also known as Alessandro in the industry, has indicated the streamlines of verticals that we provide. We're a one-stop shop for your entire office. So, if you've not reached out to us, please do ASCA-officesolutions.com. And please reach out to myself or any of our team members. We'll be glad to assist in terms of assessing your overall office needs, assessing your print environment, assessing your IT environment. More importantly, it's not just providing services or goods, it's building a partnership that we value. So we provide a white glove service. So whether it's after hours, on weekends, on holidays, people reach out, people have needs, people have requirements, and that's what kind of separates us from the competition.
And I think I read on your website you were top 50 managed companies in Canada. One of the accolades.
8
that
years.
you-
Oh, I guess they must be calling us to realize that as well. 8 years straight, one of the 50 best managed IT companies in Canada. We're also the management services provider winner as well. I don't like to speak personally about myself, but I was the runner-up entrepreneur of the year awards for Ernst & Young, and I also won under the age of 40 with the ICCO, the entrepreneur of the year at that point. It's going to be 10 years. 10 years ago. I'm aging myself here.
Good for you.
I still look the same. I think I look better.
You look great.
At least the camera guy says so.
You look great. This is Daniel Wangchuk, by the way. If you ever need any services,
Danny Langchuk. Is this being recorded? Not a boy, bud. I
from
love
what is it? Wangchuk Productions. Wangchuk Productions. He does it all.
it. No, we gotta have an espresso or something we can talk about.
You know what? If someone would have showed up on time, those would have been provided.
You're right next door.
Well, we were limited in this podcast. We only got another maybe 5-10 minutes left. We haven't even talked about the culture of the area. We haven't even talked about Young-st.clair.
Listen, Young-st.clair is very similar. I wouldn't say it's similar to Young and Eglinton. Young and Eglinton is young and eligible. Young-st.clair is an established community. Most importantly, it is for all different ages. It's not just people that are looking to retire. It's people that are looking to start their careers. I just think that it is in the center of Toronto, and it has all the proximities and amenities available.
Yeah, it's a 10-minute walk to Yorkville.
Well, this is probably because of how many condos are in that little area, but 50% of the households are one-person households in the area.
But if you look at the, let's call it condominiums or lofts that are in that area, they're of all of a prestigious nature. You look at the corner or the southwest corner, is that called not the Hazelton?
the Avenue.
The Avenue.
Yeah.
If you look at the southwest corner, which is the Avenue, you've got prime hockey NHL player agents. You have some of the Maple Leafs that are living in that area. So what does that tell you? That if our Maple Leafs are living in that area, which I hope there's going to be a better result on Saturday.
Maybe Willie Nylander will come out of the woodworks.
What's happening in Nylander? Does anyone know?
No idea. We saw him.
I'll tell you where William Nylander is. He's that Avenue on St. Clair. He's that the best condo in the city. Why would he want to leave? Right? I don't blame him.
Well, I think this touches back to the history, what we talked about before you came here, of the types of people, the settlers. You know, we didn't get into the private schools. You've got, so basically I made a joke. I said, this is a very bougie neighborhood, a bougie area. And typically when you get that sort of demographic, there's an associated high cost of a home in that neighborhood. Maybe, Owen, you can touch on the prices and a little bit of the demographics and whatnot of Young-st.clair.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. If you want to own a house in that area, you're paying at least 3 million, at least upwards, several more. That's the average price of a detached home, 3.1 million.
And I think
that's,
when you go south of St. Clair,
Mm-hmm.
right, you're gonna find your 25, 30-foot lots.
Mm-hmm.
When you go a little bit further west of St. Clair, west of Young Street, you're gonna find a little bit larger lots. So we're not talking about massive homes there. We're talking about your standard 25, 30-foot lot, 3-story, that old characteristic brick on the outside.
Four bedroom,
fully like Farnham. I think 3 million is probably light, considering there's probably not a lot of sales going on in that neighborhood. Like once you live there, you're not leaving.
and we're talking about the pocket up to like Avenue to Young, sort of Oriole Parkway down to Summerhill. So like Forest Hill, when you get more west of that, we could do a whole other episode about that. Huge houses.
The key to the zoning of this area is that there really is no high rise that extends past 20 floors or 20 stories. They are boutique. All of them are all boutique buildings.
So I've got some proposals here. We were talking about this before you came here. Young Street, I think the average development application is about 50 stories. So the area, the actual corridor of Young Street is densifying. I don't even know if that's a word,
Well,
but
Young Street's the heart of
increasing
Toronto,
density.
right?
You're seeing towers that are being proposed 50 stories at 45 Young Street,
But that's on the main Young Strip itself, not off the Avenue Road or in between the corridor of Young and Avenue on St. Clair. Nothing in that area.
No, so you're gonna notice more mid-rise buildings on actual St. Clair versus mid-rise being up to 17
And to
stories.
the buyer, that's fantastic. You're minimizing maintenance fees. You're minimizing the amount of amenities that are going to be there. I think that's got to be a key for anyone looking to buy.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing this spotlight on Young and St. Clair. We think it's a phenomenal neighborhood with great amenities, access to the TTC. We can touch upon the schools that are there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about bougie. I mean, you've got Upper Canada College, which
Great
is,
school. I have family that's gone to that school.
Yeah.
And they really set you out in the right direction, obviously, if you can afford it.
widely described as Canada's most prestigious preparatory school.
I would have to agree with that. I actually play hockey there on Thursday nights in a men's league. Season just ended. We've lost in the finals, but that's neither here nor there.
I wasn't on the team, by the way.
Well, we've had a few good runs in our hockey days.
Yeah,
that's
that was
why-
founded in 1829, so it goes pretty far back. Although I don't think the location was there in 1829.
So you've also got De La Salle.
Yeah,
I think we talked
which
about
is
that.
A Catholic preparatory private school.
Correct. You've got
Co-ed now.
Co-ed, yeah.
Fantastic. It's probably one of the most elite schools.
I think
in the
so.
city.
Yeah. So you got the most elite public and the most, well, not public, but the most elite non-Catholic and then the most elite Catholic private
They just
schools.
built townhomes on their stadium.
Yeah, I found
Around
that a
the
little bit weird. I don't know why they built, unless those townhomes were for the students. I really don't know why they
Or
did that.
staff, I guess, but I don't know.
Or I don't
They're
know.
nice townhomes, but it is a little unusual to be facing a football field or a soccer field.
Like right on the land.
Yeah.
I think it kind of ruined the aura, or you drive up the street, you see the football field going north on Avenue Road. I find it a little bit odd. School's great.
Yeah.
They got rid of the hockey rink there.
That's
I
a
don't know.
shame.
It's such a shame. Two of my nieces go to De La Salle or graduated from De La Salle. One's currently at De La Salle. Phenomenal school. They prepare you for university like none other. But I just find that, and we had some rivalries with them. I went to St. Michael's College School, St. Mike's, just at Bathurst and St. Clair. And I remember that field was spectacular, but they built houses all the way around it. I don't know if that's what the city's looking for.
It just tells you the requirement and need that if there's land in that area and they want to be in that area, they'll build anywhere.
We've had clients in this neighborhood that requested specifically they want to get into this area because they want to go to Brown Private School. Brown Public School, Brown Junior Public School, just located on Avenue Road, south of St. Clair. We've got Deer Park Junior and Senior School, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, had a few friends that went there, and Cottingham Junior Public School. So the area, the location for schools, they're highly sought after.
It's a special requirement too because you have to have a specific dual income or income itself to attend these types of schools. I think that needs to be noted. Like this isn't the norm for the standard. We'd like to have this as the norm for everyone to be able to attend this, but this is unique.
So I can only speculate that the type of people that are buying in this neighborhood are, doctors, lawyers, architects,
I think there's a lot of generational wealth in the area too, right? I think
If you grow up in the area, you don't
You
want
have
to.
CEOs of organizations. There is in the Forest Hill area, Warren Road.
Well, they were
Probably one of my favorite streets, which is not too far off from where 111 St. Clair is. Is it McDevan? No, McDovin. No, it's Dunvegan.
Forest Hill Road, Old Forest Hill Road.
But
But
then
that's
you got Russell Hill, a really good friend of mine, ironically enough, it's his birthday today. He
actually
claims that.
Paul.
Yes.
We won't say his last name, but
I won't
he's
say
a-
his last name just for confidentiality reasons, but he is an attorney, and I'm pretty sure he'd allow me to breach confidentiality at that point. But it is his birthday today, and he lives on.
Shout out to Paul. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Paul.
On probably one of the best streets, in my opinion, but he claims that it is the
Second best.
second best. Actually,
I
third
would
next
agree.
to Dunvegan and Warren.
Russ. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
The area is just. If you had to choose, let's talk about competing areas: Bridle Path, Forest Hill, or the Wall in Woodbridge, or the estates in Kleinburg. I would say that those are the four pockets that I'm extremely impressed with and look forward to seeing developments done and how the structure of those properties and homes are. Those are the four that I've highlighted. Your opinions, you guys are the expert. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think when I'm driving through the area, that's usually when I go by houses there. It's the most often I'm like, that's the house I want to go see what it looks like inside. So
What, in your opinion, is the most overvalued or undervalued area
In Toronto?
in Toronto?
Good question. I think the most.
Is C3 overrated? Witchwood Barns, which technically now is being an extension of Forest Hill, is C3 overrated? If you're looking to buy, and for whatever reason, the Young and St. Clair area is out of reach, I think that C3 is the next best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And listen, by
Yeah.
no means, this is a great area with appreciated value, fantastic opportunities, and you're not far off.
I would argue that C3 might be superior to Young and St. Clair from a traffic perspective. It's more community oriented.
Yeah.
The houses aren't as big or as new, but if you buy on the right street in C3, if you're looking at like Witchwood, Rushton, Humewood, if you're on Humewood Drive, Humewood Gardens, you can argue that they go up against some of the better streets. Now you're going to find a bigger house at Young and St. Clair.
You're not gonna compete against Dunvegan or Warren.
No, that's Forest Hill. We're talking about
Yes.
Young and St. Clair.
Yes.
This
But
episode.
this
Those are
is
incomparable.
Anthony, these are incomparable.
houses.
incomparable houses. But this okay. But C3
With lot
does
size.
has 50-foot and 40-foot lots.
Very few and far between, and you're looking at $2.5 to $3 million for their 40-footers in 3.3
Yeah.
in certain areas. If you go to Claxton, and if they don't have 40-foot 50 lots at Avenue Road in St. Clair, at Young and St. Clair, maybe a little bit further north in the Deer Park area, but you're paying a big premium over there. You're paying a big premium over there. I don't know why. I think there are more of them available. I don't know how many 30, 40 footers there are in CO2, realistically.
Young and St. Clair is by far superior. Listen, C3 is fantastic. You've got probably the best grade French immersion school in Humewood. You have St. Mike's.
Theo Beck.
Leo Beck. You know what? This is becoming a Young and St. Clair. If you look at the types of schools, the type of demographics, has there been a shift of personnel and demographics that have went west?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Well, the kids of the parents who live at Young and St. Clair, the children of the offspring of the parents who can't afford Young and St. Clair are migrating west. However, I think the commercial influence of Young and St. Clair versus, let's say, Bathurst and St. Clair it's a lot more of a commercial element to it on Yonge Street, right? So you don't have that lunch crowd at Avenue Road at Bathurst and St. Clair like you do at Young and St. Clair. right? You've got the offices there. You've got the Ministry of Environment there. You've got the old Imperial building. You've got all sorts
The
of...
Rolex building. You have historic landmarks, which the Imperial Oil building is an historic landmark.
Anyways,
if-
nonetheless, great areas. Both are fantastic areas.
Fantastic areas. If you can invest in either one, I would highly suggest it. Flip a coin on where you'd like to live.
Personal preference.
It's all personal preference at that point. But you have some of the best restaurants that diversify in cuisines on both. And I think that if you're fortunate enough to visit Young-st. Clair or visit the Witchwood Barns or any of those types of areas, please do, because it's truly remarkable. And it's been, I think, revamped to what it was 20 years ago.
I agree.
Especially C3.
Yeah, Witchwood's one of my favorite areas in the city, and I'm sure we'll do an episode about that soon. But
I'm a little bit...
love to be part of that too, because I own in that area as well.
yeah.
We don't want to talk too much.
Well,
about your
you're
portfolio,
yeah.
but you're diversified. Let's put it
A
that
little
way.
diversified, but listen,
I mean, you both grew up in Humewood, Cedarvale, right?
we did. So we have no bias to it. We have no bias to it. It's
You
come a
you
long
currently
way.
don't live in that neighborhood, so
No, I don't.
But you own
I
property
live in
there.
I live in C4, so it's my preference, and I'm going on the record that I would prefer to live at Young-st. Clair. I have a place there, and I would prefer to live in C3. I technically have one or two there. I'm not sure what the other
I think you have two.
is. That C2,
Which one?
Claxton.
No, it's C3.
It is C3. So I do have two in C3. Yeah, you
I
know
think
what?
they're both Humewood.
In
The
my-
percentages but on paper you would. It looks like you prefer C2. Or C3.
C3. Listen, C3 because of familiarity.
So let's talk to the average person. C3 is basically the parameters of where, Owen?
C3, yeah, St. Clair, sort of up to Eglinton, Dufferin over to.
Spadina?
No, it goes all the way to Avenue in some places.
Or even Young and Eglinton is C3.
But yeah, Young and Eglinton is C3. Well, when you're on the west side of Young Street.
So
So the question is, can the average couple afford to live at Young and St. Clair?
I think that's why maybe I can answer this. That's why we're seeing a lot more condominiums being built in that neighborhood. Obviously, and I stated this on the last podcast that you weren't here, they're not building land anymore, right? So in order for you to buy a house at Young and St. Clair Avenue in St. Clair, you're going to be paying a premium, right? It's just not available. So what the city's trying to do and what developers are doing is they're building up Young Street. So yeah, they can get into the market for sure.
But not on St. Clair. So on the condominiums that are rising are mainly on the strips of Young, but on St. Clair itself.
I think they're catering to a different demographic. So the buildings on St. Clair that they're building, these mid-rise buildings, are a little bit fancier. They're a little bit bougier, and they're catering to that person that used to live in Forest Hill that sold
right.
their home, that is looking to downsize. So there are some buildings that have great value. Blue Diamond, built by Camross right at Avenue in St. Clair, has some good value. You can get in for $1,100 a foot. Now, if you want to get into the Avenue, at the corner of Avenue Road in St. Clair, I think you're paying $2,500 a foot. So it's really building specific. And the more that they do build, the more affordable it'll become, but you're changing lifestyles from a house to a condo.
What's the square footage at Welland and St. Clair right now? The average sale price per square foot?
I think it's at $1,000.
Yeah, it's 1,100, I think.
I think that's undervalued.
That's over the last year, right? And
How
you're
is it
just
1,100?
coming
When
out of-
Bathurst and St. Clair, let's call it other projects in that area, are starting off at
Yeah, it's
1,500,
it's about 1,000.
It's about 1,000?
But we're coming out of one of the quietest years in a long time, especially in the
I
condo
think that's
market,
undervalued.
right?
So I think is it safe to say you bought that unit at Young and St. Clair because of the south-facing view? Or that had a part of it?
The south-facing view was extremely attractive to the point where anyone that was living in it or anyone that's ever leased in it, it's breathtaking. It really becomes a point where it's a tranquil position where whether you want to watch TV or you just want to have it as a study or you just want to dine, looking at that view is just something. It's $1 million view, and that's how they sold them.
When you look at averages, right? So that takes into effect the units that are facing north, right? So maybe the southern view is selling at $1,600 a foot.
Yes.
But the northern view is selling at $600 a foot.
Listen, the northern view is going to get you Young and Shepherd. It's going to get you a skyline of Young Street, which I still think is remarkable. So being in that building, whether north or south, has tremendous values.
Well,
And like I alluded to earlier, you cannot pick one other condominium that has an LCBO and a supermarket in
And
it.
along
Maple
those-
Leaf Square downtown has a supermarket. Is there an LCBO there?
Yes.
There
but
is?
have you ever tried to drive there?
Is it difficult?
It's awful.
Okay.
This guy probably
It's awful.
parks right underneath the ACC, but that's okay.
I love Maple Leaf Square too. It's just another good example that there's very limited amount of condominiums that have structured an LCBO and a major supermarket.
Yeah, right. You don't.
Convenience,
Yes.
right?
In this winter climate, don't even have to go outside. So.
Yeah, we're very bullish on Young and St. Clair, as you can tell. We love all parts of the city, I guess. So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about the industry and what's going on your day-to-day life with customers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alessandro. It's complex. We're dealing with a diverse situation with many companies that are looking to downsize and reduce operating expenses on print. We've come across scenarios where under a managed print services, and what that means is that a specific company like ASCA, who's been noted and awarded to win these types of awards and these solutions, oversees your entire facility, managing your printer from toner, parts, and labor, proactive alerts, sending toners to your devices without your knowledge, setting thresholds. So what it does is creates efficiencies. Many organizations will see this and think it's fantastic. What they are unaware of is that specific organizations, and one that I came across earlier today, were billing specifically for this solution when it's not needed. A managed print services needs to be assessed and analyzed. If you have a $200 printer, a home office printer, or a desktop printer, and you're under a managed print service program, think of the amount of money that you are spending that you shouldn't be. What that includes in a managed print program is you're receiving service, you're receiving parts, you're receiving labor, and you're receiving toners.
On a printer that's worth $200.
So common sense will say to us, this needs to be looked at. And you need to look at this in your office because it's happening every day. Small organization, multifaceted organizations.
But how do you make money if you're too honest with your customers and you're telling them, hey, listen, you're paying for something you don't need? Is it because of your honesty that gets you business? Like, why are other companies still paying for stuff or selling services that customers don't need?
It's buyer beware, and more importantly, it's educational. The print industry, like I alluded to earlier, is extremely complex, and it can be sold in many different facets as a convenience, and more importantly, people will pay for convenience. We look at Uber, we look at Skip the Dishes, we look at different types of programs and solutions we have right now that generations will pay for. Is it not easier to just go pick it up yourself? Is it not just easier to drive or get a taxi?
So without getting into specifics about this particular situation that you were in today, where you gave some good advice to the customer, how much money could you save them by switching over to ASCA Office Solutions?
So without really analyzing it, we just kind of went through the preliminaries, but I would suggest that's probably the 70-80%. In this scenario, all they really required is a toner transaction with a proactive alert. So the
Too much info for the common. How much money do you think you could save them? Number. We need a dollar figure.
Well, let's call it about $35,000 a quarter.
Oh, man.
A quarter.
Yeah. So this is our industry. And if you have a business and you have an office and you are receiving toner, parts, and labor, and you are billed per copy, you need to contact us at 416-240-1700, and we can assess whether that is the right solution for you.
Well, good for you. I think you're doing the right thing by giving people the honest answer, not just trying to win over their business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what building trust, not only with your realtors, who you have to entrust with probably the biggest decision you have to make in your life, but with your office provider, who at the end of the day is managing your infrastructure in terms of what you print and how you operate daily.
Anthony, we appreciate all your services and setting our office up with all of our printers, paper, stationery, our laptops, our IT. We can't thank you enough, and everyone at ASCA Office Solutions. We appreciate all the help, and hello to Christina and Carolina and Nick and Tony and Joe, and I'm sure there's a Dom in there somewhere.
There's plenty more all across Canada, the U.S. I can't say enough. I said Area Realty, but please reach out to them. And I think it's very important to get an idea of the Young-st. Clair, the opportunities, more importantly, what listings are available and what future outcomes they at Area Realty may have. And it's definitely a must-see.
So we were basically talking about if you want to get into the area of Young-st. Clair, give us a call. Our number is 416-474-5699. I'm Alessandro Bertucci with Area Realty. This is
Owen Fawcett.
And this is our special guest,
Anthony Sarno,
with
ASCA Office Solutions.
.com. Thank you very much.